Last devlog showcased what I was planning to create and the simple progress of what I had, and I learned a lot about how to navigate making these videos a bit better. This devlog goal is to show what is new and what has changed. I have made good progress in putting the things I want in the game while keeping the scope small, while also fixing bugs and finding new bugs that I now need to fix. More on that later. So what's new? What do I got? So, well, for one, we have the map. I have a basic map with doors that require to be purchased before progressing through them. It contains 4 different areas: a starting area, a power room, an upstairs, and an infirmary. Each area updates the location of the HUD once you enter it. Then, with this map, it's a hard set piece which will not randomize or change, allowing the player to learn the map, position of weapon spawns, and spawn points of enemies. This allows them to learn and grow with the game. With the map comes the set spawn points of enemies, which get set to active and inactive based on if the player is within their range. Then there are set weapon spawn points, which will hold the basic version of each weapon. I say basic because I would ideally like to make it to where you can upgrade the weapons and do different things with the weapons, but that's for later. Next one, what's new? The player profile. The player now has a profile that tracks your stats, such as your kills, deaths, successes, and longest wave achieved. There will be plans to implement how many kills per weapon has been achieved. However, this was seeming problematic as of now, for reasons as I will show here. The player profile is created upon the game start, and if there is no one created, it will make it and will save at the end of each run to compare and update the data, such as what was your last longest run and what is the new longest run. This will allow for achievements, meta progression, and just good fun of competing with other people's and players' scores, which you can do later on. The meta progression will often follow some type of implementing of this, saying like how many kills you've gotten, what levels you've unlocked, or what characters you might have met, or different things like that, so that way you can upgrade things or unlock things. Then with the meta progression, you probably also get, like, by doing a certain amount of things, you can unlock things. Lastly, on what is new is we have enemy navigation. So I've added a navigation region 2D to the game that allows the enemies to move to the player's target position and avoid collision-based walls. This helps them not get stuck on walls and has improved it a lot. However, this also comes with a bug, as some of the navigation polygons don't always register correctly. I'll show you that here later when I talk about bugs. But this has caused some problems where now it is hindering the progress of making what I want to work. However, I can find ways to fix this, as it works with some maps and doesn't. So now we'll move on to what is bug fixes and new bugs that have happened. So whenever the enemies start doing their dying animation, if you hit them again, they would do the animation again. And what this would do is it would trigger spamming experience, money, and enemy spawns if an enemy is supposed to spawn from that dead enemy on the how many times you did it, it will give you that many amount. So you will level up twice, you will get a bunch of money, you will spawn 50 enemies. Different things like that. That is game breaking. My wife found this because I had her playtest it. It's an easy fix. It's just you add a check to see if the enemy had 0 health or above 0 health before dealing damage, and if they didn't, you don't run that damage code, so you don't do any of the dying animation or anything like that. Finally, another one, I fixed a bug where the enemy could spam attacks at a dead player, so when the player dies and they're doing their dying animation, every time the enemy hits you, it would do it again. You would just keep doing it. You wouldn't be able to move, you would be dead, but it would have an error of getting to the game over screen. It would take longer, and it would be a little just not fun for that to happen. It was less of a problem than the player killing enemies more, than the enemy killing the player, of course. Then we fixed a bug with the wave generation. If you watch the last one, I'll probably have to find a way to show it. You would skip after you completed wave 1. It would go wave 2, it would flash, not spawn any enemies, and go straight to wave 3. I had trouble finding where this was. I had to run many print strings to find out what exactly was happening before this would happen. It turns out just I had a variable, enemies spawned, would not get set to 0 after it advanced a round. So if it was like, hey, enemies equal, or enemies to spawn equal 5 times enemies or 5 times wave or whatever, well, it would already keep 5 as you've made, and or from the first round, or however many you killed in the last round. So if it somehow added the total amount of enemies you killed, it would skip a wave. So say you kill 5 in 1, 10 in 2, well, the total amount of enemies killed would already be 15. So by the time you get to wave 3, it would skip that one because it'd be, oh, I need to spawn 15. 15 are dead. So it would just cause a bug of skipping waves every now and then. So that was a simple one. Just change the code to say 0 upon advancing round. Then we changed the amount of enemies spawned each wave. So I had it set as a multiplication. So it would be new enemies to spawn equal enemies, or enemies to spawn times whatever, times like 7 or something like that, or times 2. So you would go 5, 10, 20. Then it would get way too much, way too big, way too fast, where now the game was lagging. I got it to lag, my wife got it to lag while she was playing it. Different things like that happened. We had to change that out. And then, as I said, when I added the navigation regions, it fixed a lot. However, it also added enemies getting stuck on other walls when the navigation polygons didn't work, specifically in certain maps. Now, I have to find out why it's doing this, because I'm still placing the same navigation polygons. Just like I did in the first map, just now they're not registering. So I will have to go through and troubleshoot why that is and fix that. Otherwise, enemies are still going to get stuck, and it just is not going to work how I want it or need it to do, or to go. There you go. New bugs. There's a bug in tracking the amount of kills per weapon. As I said, I wanted to get this to work so that way you can get achievements by that, or you can unlock certain things like, hey, once you get 10 kills with a pistol, now you can get the new high level pistol or some upgrade or whatever, unlock upgrades per weapon based on how many kills you get for that weapon. Also, maybe rotate what upgrade your player gets whenever you level up based off of what is your most used weapon, so that way we're tracking and giving you upgrades for that you'll probably use. Now, I am sure this is due to how the code's written, as I'll show, and I'll just have to find a better way to do it instead of doing a while or for loop, as that creates an error, and even on export, it crashed the entire game when it's supposed to show this. Then we have the navigation bug, as I discussed many times. We're just going to have to figure out how to do that, because they still get caught on doors. For some reason, it doesn't pick up doors. They still get caught on some walls, because for some reason the polygons don't work. So that's coming next. What comes next before a demo or itch.io playtest, where I can put it on itch.io and let y'all play it, or I even release it as a demo? So what has been accomplished is taking care of navigation issues, for the most part. Added a profile with stat tracking, for the most part, and adding saving and loading features of data. That has all been taken care of for the most part, so that all works. It could be better. I will refine it as it goes. What to do next? I have to ensure all weapons and sprites work and register correctly. So right now, if you watch, I have a knife and a pistol. Those are basically all that work. If you watch the first one, if you watch this one, those ones work. I need to add other melee weapons, such as a sword, axe, bat, and sledgehammer. Those will all have their own unique attack style, fighting style, where they either attack in different frames, they deal different amounts of damage, and upgrade in different ways. Then you have the ranged weapons like a shotgun, SMG, revolver, and rifle. Each of those will contain their own shooting style, amount of bullets they spawn, ways of fire, and upgrades, and how they work. Then I need to add new enemies to the game as well. More like special enemies, as we already have a crawler and a walker. These you can think of as chargers, grabbers, buffers, and ranged attackers. I want to avoid the bullet sponge tanks that you can find in different various zombie shooter games or other games where just an enemy that takes a lot of damage and bullets. I dislike that. And then finally, I want to add objectives to the map, such as reach a certain area like the infirmary or upstairs or the power room. Activate certain things like power. You turn on the power, turn on this, get this thing going on, defend this area for a certain amount of time, etc. And then find a certain item / object like a key card, document, file, what have you. These would add more of, instead of it's just a wave survival, it's a wave survival mixed with getting objectives done, doing things. That would add to the progress of eventually succeeding a run and escaping the lab or other things that might be the quote-unquote end game of this or the end point of this game. Other than that, that is all I have for this devlog. Thank you for watching. Try to keep it short. If you like this video, leave a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. I'm trying to do this every week, every other week. It's hard being a husband and having a child and having a full-time job that's now mandatory overtime. So this comes out as often as I can make them and as often as I think I have something worth it to show to everyone. Thank you for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe. If you got this far, I appreciate you. Goodbye.